Hey guys, welcome back. In last exercise, we saw how do we convert IDE code into your Java JUnit or TestNG WebDriver code, right? Through options, through format. Now, what we are going to do is, if you remember one of the IDE exercise which we did on Mouseover, we are going to convert it into your JUnit WebDriver format. So what we are going to do is we will select the JUnit WebDriver format, and then we copy the code, and then we will directly try to paste it over here. So in the class file, in a new class file, so we rename the package to test, and we rename our class file to test file because that is our class file name. Now let's see the code which has been converted. So if you see over here, the Mouseover code doesn't get converted into your WebDriver code. For that, we need to use some WebDriver command which will, or WebDriver class file, which will help to handle the Mouseover movements which are required in your Anna University. So what we are going to do is, first we will try and see whether my HTML IDE code is working fine or not. So let's execute that the same code through your Selenium IDE. So if you see here, Institute for Ocean Management, right, and this is done. So overall the test case looks good from an IDE point of view. So if you get converted into your Eclipse code, that's where you are facing some problem. So here the Mouseover equivalent of Selenium IDE to your WebDriver is something called actions. So actions is a built-in class file where we will use actions as uh, actions class to handle the Mouseover movements. So let's get started. So here we know that this is your Mouseover. So what we can do is, we know that this is the locator for which we need to do a Mouseover, that is Faculty of Civil Engineering. So first we define a new object of the action class file. So actions, say builder, right, and then new actions, and we pass the driver variables, right. So what we are going to do is, we are going to pass the driver WebDriver control to the builder, and builder is nothing but your object of your action class. Now since it is showing as red, we need to import the action class. So once it is done, then we will put the element, that is Faculty of Civil Engineering, into one web element. So web element, say d1 equal to driver dot find element by. So if you see, our this is a CSS locator, so we will use a CSS, and then we put the value in that, right. So we have stored the link of the Faculty of Civil Engineering over here into a web element. Yeah, so this is because your element E is in small, so we need to be careful with the syntax, otherwise it will give an error. So now we have stored a link of the Faculty of Civil Engineering into one element. We will now use the action class builder to move into that element. So builder, so if you do, since builder is an object of action class, you will get a lot of options like move to element, move to element, and we need to move to D1. So once we did that, we can now let's try to execute this test case and see whether we are able to do a mouse over on Faculty of Civil Engineering. So the browser has launched. So if you see, I have moved to element, but I need to do something called build.perform so that it will build my mouse over action and then perform. So here we write build.perform and then we execute it again. So that's where the build.perform is important whenever you want to use something called actions. So it will launch again and then we will see whether it is doing a mouse over on Faculty of Civil Engineering. So this works fine. Now the next thing is we need to do a mouse over on Institute for Ocean Management and then click on it. And once we are on that page, we want to do a assert. So again we do a mouse over. So we will define a new element, web element D2, and we will store your Institute for Ocean Management locator into this element D2. So if you see, our Institute for Ocean Management has an ID, so we will use by.id. So we can put this value menu item 34. Right, and when we store this, so once we are done, then we will use again the builder.move element build.perform, and this time we will move into D2. Once we are into that, we need to now do a click. So there we can now use the D2.click. So if you see, we don't need the action command to click. So the click is a normal WebDriver command. We don't need actions for that, right? So once it clicks, then we can now remove this which has not been converted. We have not taken the locators from here. So it has done the click. So if you see over here, it has done a click and then try assert and then again so let's execute till the assert part now and see whether it is clicking on Institute for Ocean Management. So ensure for ocean management is clicked. Now we do a try and assert, so that is also run. So it will now stop here because it won't be able to find over here. So we remove this driver dot find element now. Yeah, and then we now again convert this to your action command. So we now do a Mouseover on id equal to link 3, so we will use builder. So we will store the link into a web element, say for example web element d3, and we will store the link of the research themes, sorry, d3, right, and then we will put the id over here into the element. So since this is an id, we need to use something called by.id. Yeah, so once we did that, then we move to that research theme. So that's where we will use build.perform again. Instead of now d1, we need to d3. And once we are into research themes, we are going to do a coastal pollution monitoring. So we will go back here, we will again now do another web element called d4, and in that we will put the locator for coastal pollution monitoring. So again we have an id over here, we will put id and then builder.perform, and once we are in coastal pollution monitoring, we need to click it. So we put d4 dot click, and once we are there, we need to assert. So now we can remove this, try assert, and then the browser will close. So now our test case is ready. Let's now execute it. So our test case has passed now. So that's how you use action class to execute your mouse over or hover commands. Thank you.